Orpheus Floats by Rex McGregor. Setting Otago Harbor, New Zealand. Time 1917. Scene 1, at sea. A ship's horn blasts out repeatedly. Lights come up on Orpheus, gazing up from the bow of a small boat. In the stern, Connie has her hand on the tiller of an outboard motor. Both are wearing nautical gear and a Salvus light jacket.
Steady.
I'm sorry. We'll collide, Mom.
Hold course.
Close.
They've shut down her engines.
I can't stop on a penny.
Oh, have faith in reverse thrust, dear.
A voice amplified by a megaphone booms down from the ship.
This is Captain Turner. Get the bloody hell out of the way.
Oh, good afternoon, Captain. Lovely to meet you.
Obey the frigging rules of the sea.
Like being courteous.
In a harbor channel, small craft must steer clear.
May we come aboard?
Well, not bloody likely. You could be German spies.
Oh, well, one of your passengers can vouch for me. Mr. Milne, are you there?
Who are you?
Mrs. Beaumont, your correspondent. If I have the pleasure of addressing Mr. Milne from the British Board of Trade.
What in heaven's name are you doing out here?
Paying you a visit.
You could have waited till we dock.
Oh, I wrote, asking for a meeting. I was told you won't have a single moment free. But you're at leisure now, though, are you not? So?
Of course. Captain, Mrs. Beaumont is my guest.
Oh, not on this ship. She's not. I can't waste my time picking up strays.
Terribly sorry, madam. The matter is beyond my control.
Oh, don't fret. We've come prepared. I have here a sharp spike.
I've got this hammer.
Weapons! I knew it.
No, tools to smash a hole in our hull. If we sink, you'll be duty-bound to rescue us.
A friggin' rule of the sea.
You're bluffing. No one in their right mind would scuttle a perfectly good boat.
Ask Mr. Milne how determined I am.
Like a dog with a bone, Captain. I urge you to allow her aboard.
Unless you want the incident to grace the front page of tomorrow's Otago Daily Times.
Hush, Connie. No employee of the Cunard line would scuttle a perfectly good reputation.
You viper.
Throw her in the brig. We'll conduct our interview there.
This isn't a warship. More's the pity.
My cabin, then.
Mine, where I can keep an eye on her.
Right, madam. Come alongside. We'll lower a basket to hoist you up.
Oh, just drop a rope ladder down. I can climb.
At your age?
Oh, fie, sir. A lady does not have an age.
Connie steers the boat away. Lights fade to black. Scene 2, Captain's cabin, several minutes later. A desk with nautical charts, a cork life jacket. Lights up. Captain Turner and Mr. Milne enter.
I do my utmost to avoid her, but nothing stops Mrs. Orpheus Beaumont.
Orpheus? Strange name for a woman.
She was named after a ship.
HMS Orpheus?
She grew up obsessed with shipwrecks and drownings. She's the bane of my life.
What does she want from a pen-pushing landlubber like you?
5 years ago, after the Titanic, the board launched a competition for a better life jacket.
Oh, a waste of time. The trusty old cork does the job.
Everything can be improved.
Bollocks! This beauty has saved my life twice. Bless its heart.
Anyway, we expected submissions from reputable manufacturers, not from a woman.
Orpheus and Connie enter wearing their life jackets.
My sex is irrelevant, sir. What matters is the superiority of my model. Poke it.
No, thank you. I will not poke it.
This way? Is a time trial too much to ask?
Very well. There. Satisfied?
Are you? Is this not as every bit as soft as promised?
I touched every sample you sent. The malleability of kapok fiber was never in question.
It's the ideal material for flotation.
5 times as buoyant as cork.
Enough! You waylay my ship for some cockamamie scheme.
We're here to save lives, Captain.
Thousands. If the Board of Trade will get off its ass and give it stamp of approval.
Oh, Connie, don't antagonize our host. Mr. Milne, I beg you to put my jacket into production.
I'm afraid you must go through the proper channels.
Oh, I've tried. Time and again. I've made every modification you suggest.
The thing still looks like a sack of flour.
Oh, who cares what it looks like?
Passengers! No one with pride in their appearance would be seen dead in that monstrosity.
Be seen dead? Because they wouldn't die.
The salvus will keep everyone alive.
Mrs. Beaumont, you just revealed the extent of your ignorance. You gave your invention a Latin name.
Yes, meaning safe. I looked it up.
You said salvus. The correct pronunciation is salvus.
Gives a damn.
The British Board of Trade rejects linguistic error.
Oh, focus on my jacket's merits. It's foolproof. It can be worn back to front.
Inside out.
Or upside down. Cork can't compete.
Have you ever experienced a shipwreck?
Not personally.
I've had 2 vessels torpedoed under me. I owe my life to Cork.
Jump overboard?
Of course not. Both times I stood on deck and went down with my ship, saluting.
Bravo.
On the Titanic, lots of people panicked and jumped from a height.
And when they hit the water, the hard cork broke their necks.
On my ships, the passengers obeyed instructions to remain calm.
Well, my jacket requires neither obedience nor calmness. Cork kills.
You board my ship like a pirate. I should make you walk the plank.
What a splendid idea. I'll gladly demonstrate how safe it is to hit the water with this on.
Do it, Mom.
You're young and fit, dear. My survival will be much more impressive.
Ladies, Captain Turner was joking.
Was I?
I'll warrant a modern ocean liner does not come equipped with a plank.
Even a carpenter.
Well, there must be something we can use.
My desk has a detachable top.
Captain Turner unclips the top of his desk.
Perfect. Let's go up and extend it over the railing.
Stop! I can't allow this crime to proceed.
Step aside, Milne.
No, I stand in defense of the weaker sex.
Hardier than you pompous windbag.
Oh, tut-tut, dear. A lady should graciously accept a gentleman's offer of assistance. Mr. Milne, you may take my place.
What the blazes?
Well, Captain, will you allow a champion to act on my behalf?
He defied my authority. He deserves to go over the side.
Look here.
Well, unless your words were mere bluster, sir, please tell me your chivalry is genuine.
Captain Turner offers the cork life jacket.
Wear this. Pull it down away from your chin. Well, there's a fair chance you'll survive the fall.
Or put this on and live. Guaranteed.
Orpheus offers her jacket. Mr. Milne considers his options, then accepts the salvus and puts it on.
Kindly hold on to my pocket watch. I doubt if it's waterproof.
No, there's no need for a dunking now. So when will my jacket go into production?
As soon as is practicably possible.
Well, don't limit yourself. I never do.
You go too bloody far. You insulted my savior.
Oh, I apologize. The relic has done worthy service for decades.
The ships weren't so tall.
Yes, noble cork. May you go down in history, the pride of maritime museums. I salute you.
A naval salute is palm down.
Now, let's get my jacket onto every torso on the seven seas.
Every time I look at you, I don't understand how you let the things you did get so out of hand.
Good Caiaphas, the council waits for you. The Pharisees and priests are here for you.
Ah, gentlemen, I'm glad that you are here. We've not much time and quite a problem here.
Listen to that howling mob of blockheads in the street. A trick or two with lepers and the whole town's on their feet. He is dangerous. The man is in town right now to whip up some support. A rabble-rousing mission that I think we must abort. He is dangerous. Look, Caiaphas, there right outside our yard. Quick, Caiaphas, go call the Roman guard.
No, wait. We need a more permanent solution to our problem.
What then to do about Jesus of Nazareth, miracle wonder man, hero of fools? No riots, no army, no fighting, no slogans.
One thing I'll say for him, Jesus is cool.
We dare not leave him to his own devices. His half-witted fans will get out of control. But how can we stop him? His glamour increases. By leaps every minute, he's top of the poll.
I see bad things arising. They'll crown him a king, which the Romans would ban. I see blood and destruction, our elimination because of one man. Blood and destruction because of one man.
Because of one man.
Our elimination because of one man.
Because of one cause of one man. What then to do about this Jesus mania? How How do we deal with the carpenter king? Where do we start with a man who is bigger than John was when John did his baptism thing?
Fool, you have no perception. The stake we are gambling are frighteningly high. We must crush him completely. So, like the Baptist before him, this Jesus must die. For the sake of the nation, this Jesus must die.
Must die, this Jesus must die.
So, like John before him, this Jesus must die.
Must die, this Jesus must die.
My mind is clearer now. At last, all too well, I can see where we all soon shall be.
Nice taste.
Present day. A large office lunchroom. Stuart is sitting alone, having his lunch. On the opposite side, Rona is having her lunch with her work colleagues. On seeing Rona walk up to the waste bin, Stuart hurriedly approaches her.
Hi, Rona. How are you?
Hi, do I know you?
I'm Stuart. I'm in the accounts department.
Oh, so you work on the floor above me?
Yes, I'm so thrilled you know that about me. And I know that you work in the pharmaceuticals admin team. I applied to work in the pharmaceuticals admin department, but they offered a role in accounts instead. I was really disappointed, but as I had to make rent, I accepted the position right away.
You're, staring at me.
Am I? So sorry. I wasn't planning on staring at you.
Planning? That's an odd thing to say.
You've handed in your 2 weeks' notice. You're leaving the company after 2.5 years' service. That's so sad.
How do you know that?
The word got around.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll be starting my new job next week.
I can't believe it's already your last week here with us. If you don't mind my asking, why did you hand in your notice?
I'm just moving on with my life. Many people do it.
That's a real shame.
Excuse me?
Your notice came out of the blue. It was so hard for me to process. In fact, I'm still processing this shocking news.
Are you serious?
Well, I thought you'd stay with the company for a good few years, just like me.
I don't understand why it would be shocking news to you. It doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
I don't even know you.
Of course you do. I'm Stuart from the accounts department. I started working here 5 months after you did.
Stuart, I don't really know what's going on here, but I need to get back to my lunch.
Look, I have to share something with you, Rona, before it's too late. I've been meaning to tell you for the last few days.
What do you want to tell me? Please be quick.
I don't really like packed lunches.
What?
I would rather go out and grab a bite to eat.
Then do it. What's stopping you?
You have been stopping me.
Me? What's it got to do with me?
I've made a packed lunch every day for the last 2 months and 3 days because of you.
Do you realize how weird this sounds?
No, not really.
Oh, is this some kind of joke?
Absolutely not.
Stuart, are you feeling okay?
I'm fine. My therapy sessions worked out really well for me. Talking to you and sharing all of this is actually making me feel so much better now. I've been bold by seizing the moment. I'm progressing. I'm ready, and I'm reaching out for a better future.
Therapy sessions?
Don't you want to know why I've been having packed lunches all this time?
To be honest with you, I don't care.
Rona, I'm in love with you. I've been in love with you for the past 2.5 months.
Are you insane? I'm married.
I'm definitely not insane. And I know that you're married.
Then why are you wasting your time?
Don't you like me then?
I'm a happily married woman.
No, you're not.
I beg your pardon?
I know that you're not very happy with your husband right now, and you wish that you had a better man in your life.
Who told you that?
I overheard you telling some of your colleagues when you were having lunch the other day.
Look, Stuart, you've clearly made a mistake.
I don't think so.
Please leave me alone.
Rona, I'm a very kind, considerate, and loving person.
So what?
I would take great care of you. I wouldn't shout and swear at you like your husband does.
How dare you say that to me?
I'm just saying it like it is.
Didn't you hear what I just said? I'm married, so back off.
I did hear what you said, but I know deep down you don't mean it.
Stop harassing me like this, please.
My intention is not to harass you. I would never dream of doing that to you.
I'm very sorry that you feel this way, but your mannerisms are making me feel quite uncomfortable right now.
Well, I disagree with you there, but I know with time you'll get used to my mannerisms.
Is that a threat?
I was aiming for hope.
You're definitely scaring me right now.
I would hate it if I had scared you in any way.
Does that mean all this time at work you've been following my movements?
Oh, not always, but most of the time.
I don't believe this.
Last week, when you were upset after you'd had that big argument with your manager, I took my break a little early and stood outside the ladies' restroom. Your manager came hurtling down to see our team manager and moaned about your lack of cooperation. I was so annoyed by her tone. She shouldn't have said that about you. I couldn't bear the thought of your being upset, so I had to do something.
None of your business.
But I genuinely wanted to comfort you.
I don't need you to comfort me.
I had some Kleenex ready for you.
So glad I didn't see you.
You were in there for such a long time that I had to get back to my desk before my manager got suspicious.
Stuart, I'm going to report you for this.
I don't understand. What is there to report?
harassment in the workplace.
That's unfair. I have not harassed you.
And you're patronizing and rude as well. That could be seen as bullying.
I would never act that way in front of you. I only have love and admiration for you.
I can't stand the sight of you.
Please don't say that. It's really hurtful.
Everything was fine until I walked up to this waste bin. Totally ruined my day.
That's a touch dramatic, don't you think? Besides, how else was I supposed to tell you about my feelings?
I'm not interested in you, Stuart.
If you get to know me, you'll love me for sure. Please.
Repeat. I am not interested at all.
Tell me, what do I need to do for you to be interested in me?
This situation we're in right now is a prime example of you harassing me.
Please don't create a scene. My manager is sitting over there. I don't want any trouble from him.
Please, for the love of God, leave me alone.
Would it be all right to have your number?
You're a freak. No, get away from me.
No, I'm not a freak. I'm just badly in love with you.
You cannot have my number, ever.
Would you like my number instead?
What?
Then you have the control within our relationship.
There is no relationship.
I'm giving you a choice.
I would like to get back to my lunch and forget about all of this nonsense.
It's not nonsense. I'm opening my heart out to you, Rona, and I would really appreciate a kind and caring response.
Answer is never in a million years. Can you get that through your thick head?
I know I've shared a lot with you in a very short space of time, so I can understand that you're overwhelmed right now, but would you like to think it over a little bit more and then let me know? We could always grab a coffee after work.
I'm angry with you.
Rona, please don't be angry with me. It would never hurt a soul, especially you.
Aren't you listening to me?
I am listening to every word you're saying, but you have to know that you're the best.
Very creepy, deeply disturbed, and irritating person. That's all I see.
I wholeheartedly apologize for making you feel this way, my love. Please, may I have a second chance?
What did you just call me?
I will do anything for you. You name it. I'm all yours.
I could be wrong here, but are you seeing someone right now?
What difference does that make?
Answer the question.
Yes, but he's not you. He doesn't make me happy anymore. We've been sleeping in separate rooms for the last 4 months now.
I'm going back to my lunch. If you try to speak to me again, I will report you to your manager for harassment and bullying in the workplace. If you still persist, I will call the police. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you. I have all the clarity I need. But before you go, I just have one final thing to say to you.
What the hell is it now?
I'm going to miss you so much. I don't know how I'll cope without seeing you. I'll miss watching how you gently put your hair behind your left ear and how you stroke your wonderfully symmetrical fringe when talking to your colleagues. Your smile always lights up any room. You're just so beautiful.
Stuart, you really need to get some serious professional help.
But I've already received that professional help. That's the reason why I'm being totally transparent with you.
I give up.
Rona! I think I should hand in my 2 weeks' notice as well. Because what if all of a sudden you need me and I'm not there for you? Do you know if there are any other positions available within your new company?
The two of you have fantastic chemistry. Ew, gross. Oh my God. At one point, I tilted.
Chapter 3, The Scarlet Thread. Exterior Brixton Road day. Watson steps fast to keep pace with Wiggins to Lauriston Gardens. Watson reacts surprised to find Sherlock stretched out on all fours. Examines the ground to the finest detail. Sherlock sees through a magnifying glass footprints in the mud. Watson's reflection in the lens.
Mr. Holmes?
Sherlock motions for silence. Wiggins quietly salutes Sherlock, quickly exits. Sherlock leaps to his feet, casually paces up and down the block, sees everything. Innocuous details with hidden import, sky, ground, pavement, railings, adjacent housing. Sherlock reacts, half smile, recognizes Watson.
How industrious, Watson. Barely noon and already a marked man.
Your brother implied as much.
Mycroft should know. He set the hounds on you.
Mind back on the case, Sherlock struts off. Watson follows through the entrance into number 3 Lauriston Gardens, one of 4 residential complexes, this one unoccupied. Sherlock and Watson cross through the yard, past constables, trump back and forth. Lestrade hides his surprise to find Watson in their company.
Good of you to come, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson, took care everything remained untouched for you.
A parade of circus elephants could not have done more damage.
What?
I said everything is up to your usual standard, Lestrade. I expect to discover very little of which your men have not already overturned.
Oh,
You came here by cab?
No, sir. I came by...
Your patrolman.
Most was here when I got here.
Interior, vacant front room. Thick with dust and mildew, loose wallpaper, exposed plaster, showy fireplace, nub of a melted candle upon the mantel. Random blood splatters on the walls, floor, otherwise empty, except for the body of Cooper Hawthorne, large, elegantly dressed gentleman, twisted by painful death contortions into a grotesque animal posture. Watson reacts, left hand trembles, steps back into shadows.
We sussed out everything to be had. Kind of queer case to your liking, I reckon. House was empty sometime. Patrolman saw a light early morning. Discover the gentleman as you see him before you.
Sherlock sniffs Hawthorne's lips, examines his boot soles, elegant top hat's inner label with maker's name and address. In Hawthorne's death grip, a pressed and dried prairie flower.
No evidence of robbery or cause of death. No wounds upon the body despite all the blood on the walls. Presumably the murderers.
If it was murder, did you move the body?
Only to empty the pockets.
With magnifying glass and tape measure, Sherlock combs the room. Minute details. Examines footprints in the dust. Hawthorne's boots. Another set of boot prints, smaller, square-toed.
You get turned off. Okay.
Out of the shadows, Watson is curious. Follows Sherlock. Beside the fireplace, Sherlock collects gray ash on the floor into an envelope. In the fireplace, Remnants finds a small matchbox, empty, saves it in a handkerchief. Lestrade fumbles an evidence box. Sherlock catches it.
The deceased personal effects?
Aye, sir. All here.
Sherlock sorts through the box's contents. Handkerchief, monogrammed CJH. Loose money, pocket change, card case, imported leather, business cards, imprinted.
Cooper J. Hawthorne, Cleveland, Ohio, American, gold watch and chain, gold ring, Masonic, gold pin, bulldog with ruby eyes.
Our men were obsessed with gold.
Among other things, pocket edition of Decameron, color for bits underscored, name on flyleaf, Arthur Fenimore. 2 letters from Guion Steamship Company confirms tickets to sail, Liverpool to New York, addressed to C.J. Hawthorne, and A. Fenimore, in care of the American Exchange at the Strand.
Fenimore must be Hawthorne's alias.
Why would one man need 2 tickets?
Astute point, Watson.
Then Fenimore must be our murderer.
Or the next victim. If Fenimore was our second man, he would not leave behind his steamship ticket.
Behind them, 4 officers lift Hawthorne onto a stretcher. Shake loose, a silver ring rolls across the floor to Sherlock's boot. He examines it.
A wedding ring?
Perhaps.
It weren't in the victim's pockets.
Our man's passion was gold. This ring is silver. Simple, personal, belonging to our second party. I think clearly a woman's ring.
The other person were a woman?
Not necessarily.
What is this pattern?
Pattern?
Watson studies the blood-stained wall with Sherlock and Lestrade.
Ah, yes, bloodstains. The scarlet thread of murder through the heart of our colorless life. What is your medical opinion, Doctor?
It's certainly not random.
Epistaxis?
Without doubt.
Eh?
Nosebleed, Lestrade.
All this blood?
The profusion would indicate a severe medical condition, aggravated by emotional stress.
Good show, Watson. Pays to have a professional on the scene.
Watson peels back loose wallpaper, reveals
Then there is this.
an emblem in the blood, a flamboyant letter A and a crude cave-like drawing of a bird or bat with ribbed wings and a serpentine tail, divides a celestial circle, half bright sun, half dark moon. Sherlock studies the drawing, sees closer, sharp scratches gouge the plaster. Sherlock scrapes blood samples into a small glass tube. Watson indicates the burnt-down candle wax on the mantel.
Dark now, but easily visible when the candle was burning. A message?
For us or the victim.
It's some kind of clue.
Or distraction. Perhaps both.
I don't know what to make of it.
There has been a murder done. The murderer was a man more than 6 feet tall in the prime of life, with smaller square-toed boots and smoking Trichinopoly cigar. He came here with his victim in a 4-wheeled cab drawn by a horse with 3 old shoes and 1 new one, off his off foreleg. In all probability, the murderer had a florid face and remarkably long fingernails. Was right-handed, the very least. Other than that, I have practically nothing to offer.
If it be murder, how were it done?
Poison.
Sherlock exits with Watson into front yard. Constable John Rance, going off duty, tired, wipes his brow.
You found the body, Constable?
Rance, John Rance. For dawn, I were walking the beat, all quiet, peaceful, not a soul about, when I saw the light flickering in the window. Them, the two houses have been empty some time. Landlord ain't seen fit in his duty to set things right since the last tenants had the typhoid. I found what you sound. Blew my whistle, was joined by constables from over the next street.
There was no one else when you returned to the street?
None to be of any use.
Then there was someone.
I see many a chap in his cups, but none so crying drunk as that bloke, leaning against the gate, singing his bloody lungs out. Ne'er could stand, let alone do me any good.
Did you get a good look at the man?
I should say I did, or seeing as I had to prop the blighter up between us and me and Constable Mercer. Right tall feller he was when he got on his feet. Brown coat and hat, much sullied under the weather. His face were...
reddish.
Well, aye, now that you mention it, he were drinking after all, and dark and red and half muffled.
He had a whip?
A whip? Why would he have a whip?
Must have left it behind in the cab. What became of this man?
Well, if we weren't so took up, I'd have run him in instead of giving him the run along now.
Good day, Lestrade. I'm afraid you will never make inspector whilst your burglars allow the very man we seek to slip through their hands.
Rance reacts outraged. Lestrade curses out Rance as Sherlock and Watson exit into sidewalk. Dusk. Sherlock and Watson hurry ahead of gathering storm clouds.
What wretched luck to have good fortune fall into the hands of a blundering fool.
Granted, the drunken man matched your description remarkably. If he was our second party, why should he return to the scene of his crime?
From his pocket, Sherlock displays the silver ring.
The ring, of course, of little earthly value, but precious enough our man would risk his very life.
You stole the evidence.
Why gather dust in a forgotten box at the yard, when the thing might be put to better use, as bait?
Overhead, a sniper. Cloaked in black and face half scarfed, his powerful rifle through its sight targets Sherlock and Watson. Approach Baker Street.
I must say I cannot approve. Your methods seem highly unethical.
We deal with unethical adversaries who place no value upon human life, except what the market will bear.
Through Sniper's rifle sight, square on Watson's back, a sudden glare from flash of lightning as Sniper's finger pulls the trigger, gunshot muffled under off-screen thunder. Sherlock leans upon Watson's arm. Watson reacts uncertain. Through Sniper's rifle sight, Sherlock's back. Damn. Bullet hole too low. Blood oozes just above the waist. Sherlock and Watson cross out of view onto 221B Baker Street. Sherlock hides his pain behind a half smile as rain falls.
You have found new lodgings?
Actually, no. I have...
On the brownstone steps, Sherlock pauses in the open doorway.
You have found new lodgings.
Oh.
Interior 221B Baker Street. Watson hovers, awkward. Sherlock crosses a trifle unsteady. Through the sitting room into...
Dry out by the fire. You can put your things in the guest bedroom.
Guest bedroom. Thickly cluttered, scarcely room to sidle through. Every form of laboratory equipment, do-it-yourself device imaginable.
I experiment now and then, now and again. Does that bother you?
Well, no, I don't think...
You can have my bedroom then.
Interior Sherlock's bedroom, a mess of paraphernalia and laboratory overflow.
After I remove my personal things.
Interior Sherlock's sitting room. Sherlock supports himself against the lounge chair.
I shall take residence in the sitting room.
Won't that prove inconvenient?
Not in the least. I often take to the lounge days at a time when I am without clients.
Clients. Yes.
And say not a word the whole time, so you must think nothing of it.
I should appreciate a bit of quiet. In my present condition, I cannot. I mean, I don't know. That is, I have no money.
Mrs. Hudson is very open-minded. In her advancing years, Mrs. Hudson would value a doctor in the house, as I do, sooner than anticipated.
Sherlock half smiles, weak, forced to sit upon the lounge. At his side, Watson reacts, surprised to find blood oozes where Sherlock clutches a hip.
You've been shot in the back.
Face to face, a scoundrel would have found me prepared.
Under his waistcoat, a pistol drops from Sherlock's hand. Watson opens his medical bag, hesitates, old fears. Grim exhale treats Sherlock's wound with practiced skill.
You enjoy quite a dangerous life.
I suspect this was meant for you. My cross friends move quickly.
Indeed. Lucky only a flesh wound. Bullets gone clean through.
Pity that. Shall have to hazard a guess which antitoxin to use. My bedroom, top shelf, third vial from the left should do it. I experiment.
Watson examines a rack of test tubes, selects one, fills a syringe.
You believe the bullet was dipped in curare?
That's the popular choice.
Sherlock has removed his waistcoat, face down on the lounge.
With these villains, a miss is as lethal as a hit.
Watson returns with syringe, antiseptic alcohol from his bag, rips the bloodied shirt to reveal Sherlock's wound, only the latest among knife scars, bullet holes, ugly whip welts cover his back.
Good God.
Not returned from battle unscathed.
Watson reacts, left hand trembles.
This will hurt.
You surprised me.
Sherlock bites back a scream to alcohol over the wound. Watson hesitates, syringe in hand, trembles. Sherlock's hand upon Watson's arm, calm, steady.
Steadfast, Watson, steadfast.
The syringe empties into a vein. Sherlock bites his lip. Watson finishes dressing the wound.
I'm glad of your presence. Mrs. Hudson is an excellent nurse, but no doctor. She worries too much.
I cannot imagine why.
Still trying to puzzle me out, Watson.
The more I learn, the less I know.
I reveal no secrets. You know my methods. I invite you. Apply them.
Let us have a look at that arm.
Sherlock's right sleeve rolled up, ugly stitched gash.
I have no hand for needlepoint.
Not a left hand, at any rate.
Sherlock's left arm, pocked with needle scars.
Earned in Her Majesty's service.
I must open the wound to redo the stitches. When the antidote has its effect, you shall have to forego the needle in the near term.
You've seen more of me than most.
Each answer brings more questions.
The best ones usually do. Tell me, Doctor, what have you decided?
It is a capital mistake to bias judgment with theory before you have all the evidence.
Aha, good. You read my manuscript, but I meant sharing lodgings.
Watson reacts, resigned sigh. Exhausted, drops into a chair.
I accept the challenge.
Good night, John.
Watson shimmers through a drugged haze. We pass out into next chapter involving a lady.
Good show.
Graham Harvey, male, age 69, sits in a chair on a porch. He is sipping from a wine glass. Next to him, in another chair, sits Joey Tritt, male, age 68. He is drinking from a beer bottle. There is a small round table in front of them.
Turned out to be a pleasant night. Do you plan on ignoring my statement?
I was thinking on it the last time we sat here and you made that statement. You expected a reply and I didn't have one. That seemed to get your panties in a bunch. So I thought I should think about my reply.
Well, how magnanimous of you.
Since I don't know what that means, I'll just take it as a compliment.
Take it as you wish.
I wish you'd stop throwing around those $100 words. Oh, look who's coming.
Who?
Well, that's debatable.
Oh, isn't that Michelle?
Depends on what day it is.
Michelle, how goes your night?
Cut that out. Don't encourage him.
It's Michelle, and she looks a bit gutted.
Is that what happens when you go and get a sex change?
Gutted. Upset. She looks upset.
Did say that.
I did. Michelle, come and join us.
Oh.
Could you use some refreshment?
Now you've done it. Just can't leave well enough alone.
Michelle, would you like a seat?
No, Mr. Harvey, I can't stay long.
Too bad.
On your way to work?
On my way to find a job.
Oh, I thought you worked at Target.
Did.
Did? What happened?
Sticky fingers?
I had to quit because of policy changes at the store.
Took away your discounts.
It started with the backlash for the gay pride displays.
Ah, God, here we go.
Ignore the right-wing donkey.
Donkey? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, it's your party's logo, though lately it resembles more of a jackass.
Hey, if you're going to be insulting, I could leave.
You could. So, Michelle, what happened at work?
Customers were coming into the store and destroying the pride displays. They started confronting employees and demanding that the products be taken off shelves. Target's been celebrating Pride Month for more than a decade. That was my main reason for working for them, but this year, things have changed. Since introducing this year's collection, there have been threats against the employees. Target's response was removing the gay pride merchandise to the back of the store.
Sounds like a good solution. What's the problem? All that rainbow crap is still in the store. Why'd you quit?
Because if customers could get away with destroying store property, I was afraid they'd come after me next. I was too afraid to stay.
Probably a good idea. We got a lot of rednecks around these parts.
Some closer than you would think. What will you do now?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's any other place for me in this town. Can't even play ball now.
What? You gave up baseball? You're our hardest hitter.
I didn't give it up. I was told I couldn't compete. As a female, I can't participate with the guys, and as a transgender, I can't compete against the girls. They claim I would have an unfair advantage.
Well, ain't that true?
Well, only if you believe that women are the weakest sex and that no woman can be better than a man.
Well, yeah, it's not like you're really a woman. I mean, you're a guy who decided he ain't no guy.
I didn't decide. It was decided for me. Who I am right now has been who I've been since birth. The only thing I changed was my name.
Well, there was that other thing. That was a hell of a change.
That was a medical necessity. I removed a mistake from my body. Now I'm truly who I should be. I hid who I was for too long out of self-denial and self-loathing, but I started accepting myself about 2 years ago.
That good courage, something you can be proud of.
And now you ain't got a job and no balls. No baseball. Was it worth it?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I know who I am and I should be, but being right isn't always the easiest thing to do.
You did the right thing for yourself. In the long run, it's the only thing that matters.
What about your parents? They okay with all this going on?
There was a lot of uncertainty at first, but I think they began to see how much pain and depression I was experiencing. I only wanted to feel my own normal.
A right good show from your parents. That must make it a little easier to deal with.
It helped, but lately I feel the entire world is against me.
Come on now, the entire world don't care about who wears pants in a small town like this.
There are close to 500 anti-LGBT bills that have been gone before state legislatures since the start of this year. Those bills focus on health, particularly gender-affirming healthcare for transgender youth and education. State legislatures are also pushing to prevent discussion in school regarding sexuality and gender identity.
Well, but nothing ever gets done in legislation.
Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis signed the Parental Rights of Education bill, dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill. The bill banned classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through third grade.
Okay, just protecting the youngins. They're too young to know anything anyway.
Well, that doesn't help kids with two moms or two dads. Then the Florida Board of Education expanded those restrictions to include all grades. My life is being legislated out by born-again right-wing right-to-lifers, and they're all hypocrites.
Now, settle down. I know them religious folks can be a bit annoying sometimes, but they got the right to speech just the same as the rest of us.
But they claim all life is valuable and every fetus should be born, no matter what the mother wants.
Yeah, the Supreme Court seems to agree.
Then why isn't my life valuable? They want to save every life until they find out that that life is gay or transgendered. Now that I have transitioned, they want to legislate me out of existence. Apparently, my life is no longer valuable. They want to take my life away.
A bit dramatic, ain't it? Nobody gonna kill you.
These extremist politicians are putting targets on trans and non-binary people. Right-wing legislation is fueling a rise in violence motivated by bias linked to sexual orientation and gender. Right-wing extremists have said themselves that their goal is to make pride toxic for companies, that they want to eradicate LGBT people from public life.
What's that plus for anyway?
That is what you question.
Just seems once you get to know what all those letters stand for, they add something else.
It's about awareness that sexual orientation is expanding and the need to be fully inclusive.
Well, don't go and lump me in there.
Not to worry, you will never be lumped into any awareness of any kind.
It's important that the ideas keep expanding. The worst thing for government is for all of us to be united. It wants us to be broken up in groups and fight each other. Smaller groups are easier to control.
So what's the next stage for the fight?
I don't know. The way things are going, I'm tired of fighting. The world just doesn't seem to want me in it. The hatred is too much. Maybe I shouldn't be in it.
That's the way to go. No sense in beating your head against a wall.
He has a point, and he proves it after after effects every day. But for you, it's your life. You can't give up on that.
It doesn't seem I can have my life.
Why, of course you can. It's just, you have to keep some stuff to yourself. What you need is a good cold beer.
I don't think that'll solve my problems.
Maybe not, but it might help to forget some of them. It'll always help me. What about it, Graham? How about fetching a code word for him, her?
How about you do the fetching? You know where they are?
Sure, I could do that. Just thought I was a guest. But that's okay. I'll take a leak while I'm in there.
Just not in the same place. You know where the loo is?
Wherever you got the John, I'll look out for Lou. One bud coming up.
You still drink Budweiser.
Hell yeah! All American.
I hate to break it to you, but Anheuser-Busch is owned by the Belgium company InBev. Besides that, I would have thought the Dylan Mulvaney backlash would have changed their brand.
The Dylan what?
Dylan is a trans who Anheuser-Busch used to campaign Bud Light. Now all the transphobes are pushing to boycott Anheuser-Busch products.
What the hell? Beer ain't supposed to be political. Why go ruin something good?
Will you be transitioning your beer?
Makes no difference to me. I never drunk anything light.
You almost upended his world.
I think his son did that.
Well, driving those big rigs seems to keep Joe Jr. away, but I wouldn't think that would cause anything world-changing.
I don't think Mr. Tritt really knows Joe Jr.
Well, you're probably right. Joey doesn't really know anyone. I think he prefers it that way. The least he knows, the least they know about him.
Well, I was once close friends with Junior. He was 2 years older than me, but he helped me with my game. I wouldn't have made the team without his help.
I remembered he was always a good kid. The one case of the apple falling much farther from the tree.
It sure is. The last time I heard from Junior, he was working in West Hollywood at Hamburger Mary's.
Oh, cook.
Drag queen.
Oh. It's a safe bet Joe Sr. does not know that bit of information.
Which is why I should leave. If I talk to him anymore, it just might slip out.
He could do that to you. I know. But before you trot off, could you make me a promise?
What is it?
Promise me that you don't give up and do something fatal.
Some days, I don't think I can make that promise.
Then on those days, promise me that you will come here and talk. Or not talk. Just keep this place in mind whenever you need it.
I can do that. Have a good night.
You too.
Where's the kid?
She had some things to take care of.
Well, hell, I guess I'll have to drink the two of them.
I'm sure you can handle it. There are some buds in there. Didn't you see them?
No, I didn't. Why else would I be drinking your Mexican beer?
Well, I hope they go down easy.
I'll be remembering the Alamo while I swallow.
Cheers. Let's drink to Joe Jr.
Huh? What brought up Junior?
Oh, I don't know. Just seems to be the right night for it.
I'll drink to just about anything. No, we are now into the conversation phrase. So
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant there was another. Okay.
Oh. So let's see. Orpheus floats. Do we still have everyone here for that? Any of the other actors? No? Is it just you, Rex?
Oh, we've got Susan and Paul and Beverly.
I'm here.
Okay, great.
Susan was good.
How did it go for you? Oh, I want to say to Rex McGregor, I went and saw one of his plays last weekend down
Oh,
in
cool.
Sandy Springs. It was well received. It was a very interesting story about the Black Lives Matters march. Have you gotten any feedback from it, Rex?
No, I'm waiting to receive some photos. They've said they will send, but I haven't received any. Did you get any photos? I saw the photo of you with the cast of your play, but did you see any production photos?
No, it was just the ones that my sister took after the play ended.
Yeah, I saw those. So the costumes look great.
Yeah. It was a
Where was that done?
Sandy Springs, Maryland.
Ah.
It was the Amazing Theater Group down there.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
congratulations to you both.
Yeah. Absolutely. Congratulations. Sounds great.
They had me
Small
crying.
world.
They had me crying again. So, what about Orpheus Floats?
So first, I've just had an email from Hannah, who was going to play Connie, and she's very, very apologetic. She has been travelling and she had forgotten about this. But thank you for Beverly for stepping in, and all the actors for giving such a lively performance. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was very funny. It was very comical.
So is that based on true events?
Absolutely. Well, the story about Orpheus and the creation of the life jacket and her struggles to get it accepted and put into production, and the fact that she actually saved thousands of lives is all true. The business about her going up to the boat, well, I might have made that up.
We'll never tell.
I have to say, I love that Rex champions women in real life and writes about it in a really clever, funny, hilarious way. And I really enjoyed working on it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susan. Your performance was absolutely delightful. You kicked it out of the park.
Well done. Well done, Susan.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And everybody else. Yeah. Yeah. You were there and you didn't drop the ball, so to speak. It just kept going on and on. And, you took it to another level. It was great. And that word bollocks was in there.
Good on you, Paul.
And good costumes.
Yes, I'm a sailor actually for all my life, and I went down to the basement and got my smelly, mildewy leather gear.
Oh, that looked authentic.
That was brilliant. Yeah, I was impressed with that, I must say.
And thank you, Tasman. Thank you so much.
Very good. You were very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Tasman, don't you just love it when Americans do British accents?
Bloody good it was. It was bloody good.
Very good indeed, actually, yeah. I agree. A very lively script, and again, just totally unexpected, as all your scripts are. It was just wonderful. Just so delightful and playful and original.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with Graham.
Great, Rex.
I don't wish to be rude, Stephen. I'm so sorry. I've just looked at the time. I have to be somewhere else for a rehearsal. So I may have to leave I will suddenly just disappear in about 3-4 minutes.
Well, how about we just switch to pack lunch then right now?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that.
I have to leave too. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks for,
Beverly.
Thanks, Beverly.
Thanks for stepping in.
Thanks, Beverly.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Carol.
I thought Tasman was so creepy and believable at the same time. The acting was fantastic.
It was Michelle, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, that was a great performance.
Really great.
Yeah, really, really good.
Well done, Mark.
Mark, I love the vocal decisions that you made. I was too terrified of you to say it, but I was thinking that the two of you, I've seen you in other things, and had I thought this was your first time performing together, I would be
That's okay. You can say
I
it.
want to see you perform in other things to calm my nerves, please. But I know that I'll be able to.
Didn't he put you on edge? Because I was, I write these scripts and sometimes, you forget because there's so many scripts. And then Michelle and Mark were working together behind the scenes, which was great. And then when I actually saw it in rehearsal, I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, Stuart is actually really creepy. I would never want to meet someone like that. I
Yes,
know I
no-
wrote it, okay, but
Yes.
oh my gosh.
Mark, you did the creepy so well. I'm glad
Yes.
that I know that you do other things. Because it was perfect and really horrid.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, there was no typecasting today.
Yeah.
I assure you, really.
Was this one of your 365 scripts?
Yes, it was. It was play number, I will tell you. Here we go. Play number 32.
And that was
Wow.
written in one day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and the next rehearsal I have to sign in, and I said I did say I'd be a little bit late, but I will definitely catch up, is play number 153.
Okay.
So I will thank you so much. You're very kind. Thank you for the platform, Stephen, as always.
Sure.
And the
Great
actors
writing,
were
great acting, very well done.
fabulous, great to work with, and
Loved
it was
it.
so good. And everybody else, I'm so sorry I'm not staying on. Everyone else, you know, it's always a great variety when isn't
Yeah.
it? And it's amazing. So kudos to you, right? Leave now.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Jasmine.
Bye.
Thanks, Jasmine.
Well, then we can move on to Jesus Christ Superstar.
I'm disappointed in Tasman. There wasn't a single F word.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
How do you know?
She's slipping. She's
She's
slipping.
growing.
So our first musical, I think that was kind of nice. And both of you have really nice voices. I think maybe you should consider expanding another part of the Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we can try and do it again. Certainly.
And that's tough
Both of
when
you
you
have
get a
fantastic
cappella like
senses
that.
of rhythm. I like pointing out when people have a good sense of rhythm. For those of you who don't know, because I say it about 500 times a day, I grew up as a semi-professional child performer from ages 12 to 18. It was musical theater. So when
Oh,
you're
okay.
singing, I can hear you. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. When you're
When
singing, I
you're
see
what?
you.
When you're what? You can hear it.
When you're singing, I can hear you. Like, I think what I'm trying to say is I'm used to musical theater because I did it as a kid on a semi-professional basis. So I give out the compliments fast and thick. I can't give out enough of them. And I try to at least be creative, God damn it, because musical theater, we were evil and it's complicated. But, you know, now I try to give compliments. I never
Oh,
insulted anybody. I just stared them down. Anyway.
Okay.
You're good singing. I want to hear more.
Good. Glad to hear that. So, yeah, so we ended up with just two people. So, so Goretti was kind enough to play like 3 or 4 parts. Yeah, because I basically, she just did, she did Annas and all the priests, just did all those lines. And then I just did Caiaphas. And then I did Judas at the beginning and the end.
And I have to say, I thought I was Mary Magdalene, so I didn't know this song at all. Terrifying. It was
Oh,
terrifying.
yeah, she was learning it and she was like watching it on YouTube. I said, go to YouTube and you can look it up and see how it goes. Yeah.
Horrifying.
So yeah, but I mean, yeah, learning it on the fly.
So in the credits, is it okay if I just say performed by and not list the different characters?
Sure. Well, I mean, you could say, what you could do, like for just with her, you could just put priests, or you could just put Annas. You know what I mean? I think Annas / priests,
Okay.
and with me, you could put Judas and Caiaphas.
Judas and Caiaphas.
And you know, I actually wanted to play Judas and Caiaphas, but I didn't want to be selfish and take like the best parts for myself. So in a way, when only one person showed, it was kind of good for me because then I got to do the parts I wanted to do. without being selfish. You know.
So that was a lot of planning that you had to do in that short amount of rehearsal time then, right?
Yeah, we were planning and she was learning the song, and we also did a couple of run-throughs, and luckily rehearsal went longer than we thought. So yeah, we were able to really, and because it was so short, we didn't have a lot to go through, you know what I mean? We were able to just do that same bit like 3 times. And so it really helped a lot that that we just bit off a little bit and didn't worry about length, that we just did a short piece and were able to get, and of course I ended up losing my place at the beginning, and here I am, I put the whole thing together and I muffed the beginning because I lost my place, but you can edit out the silence. Trying to think. Oh, so one of the reasons I wanted to do that scene is I know that in the movie version of Jesus Christ Superstar did try to soften the character of Caiaphas, because there were criticisms that the musical was anti-Semitic, and they did. But I don't. Even though they tried to make Caiaphas more conflicted, I don't think it really quite came across as much as it should have. So I tried to do it in a way that would show Caiaphas as more conflicted, that he's not celebrating the idea. I remember reading a long time ago after there was this, I can't remember his name, but there was a prime minister, there was assassination attempt on a prime minister by a Jewish radical. And I remember reading a lot of like quotations like, it was so shocking because Jews don't kill Jews. So I tried to keep that in mind of Caiaphas is sitting there who believes strongly, I'm not going to kill my own kind, in a casual way. This is not something I want to do. I already had to do it with John the Baptist. I do not want to do this again. But I feel that I'm so afraid that he's going to get Rome to come in and invade and just mow down Israel that letting him live could end up with thousands of people being wiped out, and that's just something. And the leaders have to make these decisions all the time, as to whether, I don't want to drop a bomb and kill people, but if I don't do it, then more people could die than however many people my bomb could kill. They always have to make these horrible choices. So I was trying to put conflict into that. That was my goal.
All right.
Whereas usually it's performed as him being very bloodthirsty. Yeah, so.
Well, considering that you had to work with your shortchanged and cast, I think it went well.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, it's a good introduction for us to do musicals. I know they've been proposed before, but I guess no one has been able to produce one yet. So great.
Yeah, and so I just made sure, and the way I did the script, I just made sure there wouldn't be groups of people like everybody singing "He is dangerous" together or anything like that, because I knew that wasn't going to work because of time. Time isn't the same for all of us, and it would be overlapping one another. So
and on the theme of musicals, this event today did cause some problems in my family life. Today is my wife's birthday, so she was a little upset that I was going to put some time aside for this.
Oh no!
Sorry. If we all just sing "Happy Birthday" to Laura.
Yes.
Okay.
At once.
Yeah.
In harmony.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
dear Laura. Happy birthday to you.
Stage my Mary.
Yay! And many more.
Laura, give yourself a gift and leave the bomb.
So, up next is anybody else up to do another musical with parts of Jesus Christ Superstar?
It's tough to do. I mean, especially since you two had to do it a cappella. And so I start to wonder if there's a way to share. I mean, I know you can share sound from your computer, meaning you could play, if you have the rights to do it, you can play music so that everybody else hears it.
Yeah, again,
I don't know if
timing
you can,
will be a problem because when she plays it, it's going to be in a different place than when I play it. We would have to get two people together in the same room to be able to do that.
probably.
It doesn't work on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can even if you can get the music to play, I don't know if you can sing over it.
Right.
I don't know. I've never tried that.
Yeah, there is.
You could, if the music file is sent to me, I could load it into a different track and play it under whoever's singing it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's something to think about for the future.
Yeah. And I don't think we have to worry about copyrights, not for this.
Yeah, nobody's going to come after us.
We're not making money.
Yeah. Also, I've often said that, if we call this a class, then because it could be, you can use things for educational purposes. So if we call this a class in communications or something like that, or overcoming shyness, or just like we were supposed to be about helping people communicate when we were at Share, we're supposed to help people work on their communication skills. And that's how we were able to get the discount at Share.
Well, the whole premise of this group was to help actors work on code readings and to help writers have their words heard so that they could use that to continue writing on a piece of.
Yeah, this is an educational workshop.
Yeah.
So it's educational purposes. We're not entertaining a crowd. We're not charging anybody. Yeah. And they wouldn't come after us anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna worry about it. Paul, did you have something you wanted to add?
I have experience doing Zoom musicals, and the key is an enormous amount of editing and advanced preparation.
Yeah.
So somehow you have to arrange so that all performers are listening in headphones to the same thing at the same time. It's quite the Megillah.
Yeah, I've even watched a video of a dance instructor working with two people in two different states doing a performance together. So I know it's possible.
Okay, the dance thing, that's actually very easy. I've done it. Singing is a lot harder because you can hear the overlap and it sucks, but dancing is for me, it's pretty easy.
But they're playing music while they're dancing. And the
dancers count in their heads.
And the two dancers are dancing with each other, even though they're not in the same room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. Seen it?
I say just do row your boat in the round and find it all comes in perfect harmony without any delays.
I personally think our happy birthday song was perfect.
Yeah.
Wait till we hear it after the edit.
Let them eat cake.
Presumably, the thing with the dancing, though, is that if they're out of sync just because of delays in the music, then you just pull one up to the other, and there's no problem.
We can work on it
in post, not live.
Yeah, we can work on it.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to Sherlock Holmes.
The game is afoot.
Yeah.
All right. I thank all my cast. I'm sorry our Watson disappeared quickly, so I couldn't even email him or in the chat. So thank you, everyone. I'm sorry I don't give you more meaty dialogue like the other writers, but your eyes tell a great story.
Yeah. I didn't think there was as much. I thought there was more dialogue in this one than last time, wasn't there?
Actually, there was probably more narrative.
Oh,
but
all right.
I did trim some of it a bit.
All right, maybe I.
So in this episode, does Dr. Watson figure out that Sherlock Holmes is a girl?
Well, that's the thing of this. There's sort of a rom-com subtext because clearly Watson knows she's a woman from the beginning, and Sheila knows that he knows, and they're both teasing each other. She keeps teasing him to be the first one to mention it. And but as that's the final test at the end of the script, and so he says, of course, I'm a doctor, but I'm also a gentleman. It was not my place to remark upon it.
Good. Alrighty.
But the question is, when she talks about her clients and things of that sort, what kind of a woman is she? So.
All right.
But I don't believe authors should be giving feedback. We already have our pages to speak for us. So if anyone has feedback, they want questions that they feel need answers or confusion.
I'm just waiting as the story carries on.
Yep.
Okay. Well, this was the first time that we actually introduced a large part of Doyle's original story. Although it's notorious that he has the clue in the book of race, R-A-C-H-E, on the wall, and it really doesn't refer to anything. It's a false clue. So all the adapters have had to come up with their version, and mine was, which are still a clue to overshoot the legitimate thing. It points to Native Americans, but it points South American instead of North American. So it's both a clue and a red herring. And you also get the subtext parts. Part of this series is each of the combines one of the classic Sherlocks with two other contemporary public domain titles. And in this case, the subplots are borrowed from Scarlet Letter and Last of the Mohicans. Huh. So, these all come in confluence in that one wall mural.
Say, Henry, is Sherlock Holmes a big deal in England?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if maybe it was a bigger deal in America and England. They're always talking about Sherlock.
No, I think Sherlock Holmes is very popular in England still.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's that new series from the BBC with
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Well, actually, I think Sherlock is probably bigger in Japan and China than people realize.
Really?
It may be bigger than here because they licensed Sherlock to redo it as Miss Sherlock with a female Watson and a female Sherlock.
Yeah.
And they just licensed the BBC Sherlock to do in Germany. And in Asia, I'm not sure which country, they've already had 3 musicals with a female Sherlock. They've had a trilogy of them already on stage. So, the first thing a Hollywood producer would tell you is, oh, there's no foreign market, especially in China. And yet, they had a Chinese version of Sherlock with Moriarty and Sherlock basically doing the classic kung fu thing where they're flying through the air at each other. So, and now that it's public domain, that was like 20 years before it's public domain. Now it's public domain. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah. I guess they didn't want to do Charlie Chan, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they do turn Sherlock into Charlie Chan, as it were.
Yeah.
So half the time there's a running gag in Miss Sherlock where the Watson character has to keep reminding her to take off her shoes, and then they leave her without remembering to put her shoes on. So it's that kind of thing.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I thought the play was very well presented and was good to follow and worked in the way that it held suspense and then revealed things. I thought it was nicely done, very nicely done.
Thank you, Graham. I know that you would have more personal knowledge on it, so I appreciate that.
Well, just how I react to murder mystery, I guess.
John, is there a particular film or film version of Sherlock that you prefer more than anything else?
Well, of course, the books are all pretty much bound to the one location. So people do radical changes to Sherlock on film.
Right.
My favorite film is A Study in Terror, which is John Neville and Donald Houston as Holmes and Watson versus Jack the Ripper. And you have a great cast, including Judi Dench, very young Judi Dench, and Robert Morley is the first.
Did he free?
But my favorite Sherlock Holmes would be Peter Cushing. And Basil Rathbone was a perfect Sherlock Holmes, but the first two films were A-budget Fox films, and then they sold it as a B movie series to Universal, done as a contemporary war propaganda series. And you could see Rathbone just getting tired from having to not do the Sherlock he wanted to do. And even though he was older than the character that I would portray it, both Cushing and Rathbone played it with high energy. So you got the idea that Sherlock was a young person, and the eccentricities that we accept in older people are considered arrogance in young people.
Yeah.
And it's key to playing it. Too often our films show them as older people because we accept eccentric means old. And too often we play Watson as a bumbling fool, which, of course, Sherlock already has trouble with all the people in the world that are normal that seem foolish to him. So he would not, tolerate Watson unless he knew they were equals. And from my point, Watson has the same observation capabilities. He's just too anxious to come up with an answer to please people, so he rushes to conclusions too quickly. And ironically, in this case, he's studying Sherlock, and the more he finds, the more conflicts of choices he gets. And so he's actually taking his time and becoming the better detective that will eventually be an apprentice to replace Sherlock when Sherlock is no longer needed. Anyway, that's my take.
Yeah, it's interesting. As a kid, I remember watching Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce anytime they were on repeats on the TV, and I loved those. But then later, Jeremy Brett did a long series of them for PBS, and he was very mannered, but nevertheless, I still liked
again,
it.
he was a little old for the part by that time.
Yeah.
And he's one of those actors that makes the character become him rather than the other way around. And he was suffering severe mental depression. And during the first 2 seasons, his wife was still alive and keeping him intact. But when she died, he inflicted all of that onto the Holmes character.
Oh, wow.
So I have my quibbles to say.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Well, we'll see how it progresses next month, I guess.
Yeah.
So our last one was Church Talk. Our second episode.
Wow, Zev.
What?
That was amazing.
Really?
It's hard. I mean, it's number one, it's obviously a very sensitive topic, but it from your mouth, it sounded just so sincere and just true.
Thank you. I credit all goes to Stephen. Henry and Stephen and I, all three of us were working together. I was taking any notes that they had to give me. I was trying to take them because there were a few speed bumps I felt in my own performance. So I'm really glad that it came across and it worked. Stephen, I said, I know I would sing the monologue. I sang half of it, gave up, and just had this moment of, I wanted to do right by you and I couldn't sing the whole thing and I was frustrated. For those of you who don't know, I grew up in musical theater. Yes, I've already said that, but they taught us if you get stuck on a monologue, you need to go back and sing it. It will break it up for you. And I only got halfway through, but it does work. And I was trying. So thank you. I'm really glad that I pulled it off.
You had nothing. You had nothing to worry about.
And the interplay between Henry and Stephen, bringing that out in you, the humanity that Henry had, the gentleness, was able to pull it out, so believable and so gentle, bringing up real life, saying Ron DeSantis, talking about what was going on. It didn't feel like it was propaganda or that, oh, we have to listen to the news. It was very real, and it was good to hear it within the play, because I think all of us here were hungry to hear it, and you made it sound like, here I am being the voice. I'm not a propaganda voice. I'm a real person who is part of this, and I represent it, and I'm next door neighbor. I'm your best friend. I'm the person that you see all the time. I'm Zev, and we are all you. And you played that really well, and so did Henry and Stephen. And so it's like, we didn't want Stephen to be that way. We wanted Stephen to be
right. Right. That was the rough part.
Yeah, it was rough, but it was real, and that's what made it so good, so human.
Yeah, I love the fact that they weren't both on the same page, two different characters. The characters are so well done. It's like, I want to go and sit in the porch with these guys.
Well, you're up
I want to get in
next.
on this conversation.
You're up next, Chuck.
Okay. And great job, Zev. Very
Thank
good.
you.
I mean, it's getting to join them. That's a gift too. Just everyone was great, but that was. I want to get on that porch and talk.
And I want to say again how important this process is for writers, because there was a lot of speech in there for Zeb that I actually pulled out of like news from the internet, and it was trying to say that without it sounding like it was a journalistic propaganda speech. And Henry brought up some methods for Zeb to use to try and naturalize some of that speech. So now I can go back into the script and write it that way so that it's much more natural to be spoken.
Right.
When I was doing character work, though, I think I said this in rehearsal too. I did decide Michelle is a journalism student, and that's why she sounded like is because her mind is so in the way articles are written is how she's beginning to think, which is a thing that happens with some people. And I just want to take this moment to say, Henry and Stephen, you are wonderful. I, in my crowning moment of professionalism, decided it would be a very good idea to tell Stephen that he's such a talented actor that I was resisting the urge to flip him off every 5 seconds. Because I've had these conversations with people over and over again, and it's just so hard not to, you just sit there and try and figure out how to leave.
You flipped me off in rehearsal, but you didn't do it in the performance.
I forgot. I'm sorry. That's such a weird thing to say. I'm going to put that in my theater memories. I keep a file of funny things that have happened, so you may see that pop up. I think you're wonderful to work with. I just had to really take some moments and prepare myself for, the responses that would come up, because I couldn't swear and couldn't flip them off without prior permission, and I didn't know how to approach that as a professional. So I did not do something professional.
And I've been on like pins and needles wanting to do this piece, because we were actually trying to do it last month, but it didn't work out for us. And it was just like, oh, I really want this performed, so I know how it goes and how it's accepted and if it's gone in the right direction or not. So I'm glad we were able to do it today. I'm glad Henry was able to do it with us. And Zeb, I want to thank you for taking on that part.
I'm so glad I got to be a part of it. I'm really flattered. You're giving me all these wonderful roles lately, and I just want to say thank you. And for those of you, I feel like I need to speak to it. Nobody panic. I'm part of the community. This was, I would say it does fall into the category of own voices casting, just as far as the LGBT community. I'm not suddenly, you cast a straight woman, you blah, blah, blah. No, he didn't. No, he did not. Everyone needs to chill out, in case that's a concern of yours, because it is a concern for some people, so don't worry. I don't think that's why I was considered. I just want to reassure everybody, like, don't panic.
What do you mean, don't panic? That you had to?
There's people, and I'm one of them, who, if you cast a straight person in a role of a gay character, I will get upset.
Oh.
I'm much quieter about it as an adult now, especially because I have more control over what I see. So if I don't like it and I find out the person is straight, I'm not gonna, like, you had the choice to cast a gay actor and you chose not to. You put a straight person in that role. Looking at you, the original L word, I'm not gonna watch it again. If you put in a gay actor in a gay role, I am much likely, like, I'm a lot less criticism, a lot less angry. And I realize for some people it's a complex topic. For me, just make an attempt to find gay people. Good God. That's all. I just want the attempt.
In Hollywood?
So I was the attempt. I was the success. We can all move on.
In Hollywood? Where can you find gay people in Hollywood?
I don't know.
I'm curious though, what if you don't know if the actor is gay or straight and you really.
And yeah, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's such a huge topic nowadays. We've gone right from quit casting straight actors to be in gay roles right into people who get mad about presumably straight actors being in gay roles. People are starting to have to come out earlier and earlier when they don't want to, and they're getting pigeonholed. And that's when I move right into, well, there's no easy answers and it sucks. But at the same time, what I am advocating for, if I'm advocating for is non-heterosexuals put into non-heterosexual roles, technically I am advocating for some people to come out earlier than they might want them to. And I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I'm not perfect. I'm going to sit there and go, I'm an asshole. I want you to face really possibly bad consequences for my own desire to feel included.
Yeah, well, that would be considered sexual harassment. If I have to know your gender preference before I cast you, that is sexual
harassment. Oh, it happens
harassment.
all the time.
But in Hollywood, it's the exact opposite of what you're saying. I mean, you had Rock Hudson was Universal Studios' #1 box office person. They bought To Kill a Mockingbird just to star him, until he realized that they needed a better actor and went with Gregory Peck. Tom Hatton, who was hosting all the Popeye kid shows out here, he was homosexual. Now, do you want him to tell you that? So then everyone's afraid that he's going to be indoctrinating the children watching Popeye cartoons? Your personal life.
No, we want to feel less alone and not have a straight person pretend to know. It's about not wanting to feel so alone. It's about wanting to feel represented. That's all.
Well, I understand, but then
I realized I cracked this topic wide open, and I feel like I should apologize. I was trying to do good, and it kind of backfired.
It's not a big deal to me because I'm celibate. I respect anybody that doesn't want to have anything to do with me. But there's then you would be actually eliminating roles for homosexuals, because they would only be playing homosexual roles, and there's fewer of those going around. And you'd be eliminating all of them in all of your TV shows and everything. I mean, there's especially a lot of women. Look at what happened to poor Ellen Page, who's now
Elliot Page, who came out, who was surrounded by support and love, and got his memoir published. He's fine. I read his memoir twice.
But I mean, it's like Jack Nicholson refuses to do interviews because he doesn't want people to go in looking at the character and asking if it's Jack Nicholson. He wants you to look at the character themselves. So the less you know about the leading actor, personal life, the better the character has a chance of coming through. That's the argument. And I can understand, if people were being discriminated against it, but
you'll have to hold that thought. I'm sorry. I think I hear something downstairs. I need
I'm sorry to interrupt anyway. But as far as
Thank you. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
I encourage my actors to not be afraid to play against the text. So Stephen and the other actors, as well as writers, I say, take your sentences and put question marks at the end of them and see what happens. So that gives you the opposite view of what you were saying. And now give yourself that full range in between to let your instincts decide how you want to address that, because that would be a way to change, say, just a journalistic reading. Because now you're just, if you're putting it with a declarative period or exclamation point, you're reinforcing what's there. But if you put a question mark on the end of it, now you're putting a question about, subtext in there, and you turn a straight line into a comedy. Like, that's my wife, or that's my wife. But that's me.
I think maybe just on a very base level, actors want to play all roles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking for myself. I mean, I wouldn't want to be denied a role as playing lesbian because it has to go to a lesbian. I want to learn. I want to play all things in life, and so I think, as you said, legislating for somebody to say that I am lesbian, so I get that role. I'm Jewish because I get that role. I don't think that's going to work out all in all in the arts.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is a trend at the moment. Which
role, but I'm sorry, Henry.
I think yes, I think that is very much a trend. Has been for quite a while. And I think it's just a way of, like a lot of stuff that's happening now, there are trends going towards very, very solid rules about everything in all sorts of life. I think just because there are huge changes coming out of that and a breakdown. And so I think it's happening so that then it can break down. But another thing I was just going to say is that with the younger generation, there are so many different shades of sexuality that they all go through, and they don't all go through all of them, but they go through all those different sort of things, and it's also, in my view, from what I've seen in life, is that most people have shades, and I think with the younger generation coming up, where I think it will be that anybody will be able to play anything in many ways. It looks at the moment as if it's going to be very restricted because, this person is very much on that line. But I think it's all loosening up and loosening up of ideas of what people have been. And I think it's a marvelous thing, actually.
The fluid, right?
Yeah,
I think it also falls on the writer also, because what does an old white man from Salisbury, Maryland know about writing about transgender people and today's world? But it seems to me there's a lot of universal themes there, universal feelings there that no matter what the sex is or the race is, that if you're open to what's going on around you and you're observing that, you should be able to write about it, because it's what it all comes down to is human existence. No matter who we are, it's being human and being trying to understand the human condition. And I don't know if, like Rex play that I Went Down to See was about a young female Black teacher participating in the Black Lives Matter march. All three characters were Black, So, someone might go to Rex and say, you're a white man from New Zealand. How can you be writing about the Black experience in America? But it's universal. Go ahead, Rex.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Stephen, but just to give you my background, I don't know if you can see my hair, but it's extremely frizzy. And the reason it's frizzy is because my mother is Black. She's from the West Indies in the US, at one of the Caribbean islands. So I'm mixed race. And I have 3 brothers, and we are all different shades. So that's what happens when you have mixed race family. So, but a lot of my plays, I don't specify race, but for this particular play that Stephen's talking about, because it was dealing with the issue of Black rights, it would be very important that you get 3 Black actors to play that role. Whereas the play we did today, I mean, I've seen the role of Orpheus played by a Black woman, and that's fine. There's no reason why, because there's no racial element in Orpheus Floats. So my feeling is that unless race is an issue in the play, then anybody should be able to play any role. And that's why I've had a lot of multi-ethnic productions.
Well, obviously, my Sherlock is female, and her romantic interests will be coming up to question eventually. But I like breaking the lines, and so many women have played Hamlet. I especially like Diane Benor when she was young, doing it for Joe Papp, and I have the documentary on that. But I want to see Hamlet played as a woman. Nothing else changed. Exactly just that. And, what does that do to the situation with Ophelia? What does that do to the relationship with her uncle? Things of that sort. And just one thing and see what happens,
I did a production doing that on Zoom, in the early days of Zoom, actually. And it was a shortened version of the play. But it was very, very interesting that, yes, I wanted to play it as a woman. And the relationship with Ophelia was interesting and made sense. And also I had Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were a couple. That was also fascinating.
I knew it. Sorry.
Yes. Well, I did a master class with Lynn Redgrave, and I did the to be or not to be speech. And one of the reporters, Hollywood reporter, was in the audience, and he said, "You had Lynn Redgrave on the stage with you right there, and you didn't use her." And I didn't understand what he was saying because it's a monologue, but I realized afterwards, no, it's a seduction scene. So what if Ophelia is there? And it's not this brooding thing, but Hamlet's extolling the virtues of taking action, the suicide. Let's have a suicide pact together. Making it sound glamorous for the death option versus the dullness of the life. And so, yes, that monologue could be greatly improved. In fact, any scene could be thought of as a seduction scene. And the newest Sherlock I was working on, every script I always first approach when I critique somebody's script is, who's the protagonist and what do they want that if we gave it to them on the first page, the movie would suddenly be over. And then I was doing this scene that I knew had to be there where I was with the people that were doing, but the dialogue wasn't coming. And I realized now, for the first time after 60 years, that every scene has to be treated that same way. Who's the protagonist in that scene? And what do they want that if we gave it to them on the first page, the scene would be over? And that's what drives your dialogue. That look, the search and conflict. And I was doing things instinctively, but I didn't realize that I had not actually considered that after, I don't know, been writing since I was, screenplay since I was 15. So, it's interesting.
I did want to say one other thing, but Zeb popped out again, and it's really about her. So unless she comes back, I'm going to hold off on it. Anything else?
I'm sorry,
Lynn,
what did I
there you
miss?
are.
There's all kinds of
Still there,
there's
just
all
not
kinds of
here.
things going downstairs. My roommates. Anyway, sorry, what?
I just wanted to mention, Zeb, that when I started writing this piece, my first thought was you being in it.
Oh, thank you.
But part of that reason was, but over the years that I've known you, I was almost 100% positive that you were part of the LGBTQ community.
Yes, I'm sorry. So many people think that I'm not, that I'm thrilled when people figure it out. Or my favorite, they apparently just know it within the first 5 seconds of meeting me. So it's not even a shock.
Until last month. Because last month was about a gay woman professing her love for another female who happened to be her cousin. And I asked you, I said, did you have any issues with the part?
No.
And you said, well, yeah, I've heard of cousins having relationships. I don't have any problem with that. I'm going, well, okay, that's all right. But what I'm thinking is, well, what about the gay part? What about her confessing love? And you didn't say anything about that. I'm going, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm wrong, because all she focused on was the cousin.
That was the part that jumped out at me the most. Them being gay. I thought about that, and I didn't comment on it because I wanted to comment more on the cousin thing.
Okay.
That was my whole. And for those of you who don't know, Stephen and I actually met in an LA play reading group over Zoom, and one of the first roles you saw me in, if I'm not mistaken, was Sarah in a play called Stop Kiss, which is it's the whole thing is a homophobic. It's a gay bashing, and I play a woman who gets gay bashed. And if you look on Wikipedia, they're like, she's not an important character. She's in a coma the entire time. No, she's not. She's in a coma for like 2 scenes, and you really do get to know her. And people were asking, how did you connect with this? And I was talking about something very different than what they expected. I'll say that, but yeah, they were they were aware that they'd cast a homo in the role, and they were fine. And I was worried because I was cast, if I'm not mistaken, opposite a straight woman. And I wanted to say, oh, you're easy to fall in love with. This will be great to act alongside you. But I didn't want it to seem like I was coming on. I was trying to be nice, but instead I wound up not saying anything. And then she got disappointed, and I told her later, you're easy to fall in love with, don't worry. And she just lit up, and I was like, I could have said that. Kind of a balancing act, like, don't hit on a straight person, but I wasn't. I was just trying to do it from the perspective of an actor. She was wonderful to work with. So that's what he's probably referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess with so many people in the world, this is what irks me. Everyone's afraid to do the work to know each person individually. So we label them in groups as fast as we can, and that's a mistake. And and we encourage ourselves to be labeling ourselves, and I say that's a big mistake.
It can be about finding people who have common experiences to you. I think I have not known how to describe that very well, and now I just figured that out. That's why I'm so big on, like, straight women, please don't go out for lesbian roles, because just don't. Again, bringing that issue up when I said I wouldn't. It's more of, I want to know that I'm sharing an experience with this person, with this character. That said, I'm going to make it about me for 2 seconds. I am excellent at playing male psychopath. Mark, you and me, we could do something really incredible. I am not a psychopath in real life, as far as I know, but I have terrified people constantly. So, like, yeah, cast me as whatever you want. I love playing psychopaths, but I'm not one. And have I met some in real life? I did, and they would be very.
You just reminded me. I have a play for you too.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna tell on Mark. Sorry.
No. I want you to be happy together.
I'm gonna tell on Mark. We go way back to South Coast Rep, and I think the first play where you had to yell at me, you wouldn't.
That was the hardest thing to do. That was.
I remember we had a
impossible.
later, after you came over later and we were going to do a later night rehearsal, and you were like, I'm not going to yell. I'm not. There are neighbors around here, right? They're going to hear it. I'm not going to yell. And I was like, we have to yell. We've got to do it. And there's in this part of his mild-mannered, easygoing guy was like, I'm not going to yell at anybody. And that was a journey we took all the way to Mercy Seat by Neil LaBute, which was probably one of the most horrific characters that you had to ever play.
Right.
And it was a grotesque, awful character. And I remember while we were working on that scene, that was like the artist was the last class we took, and you had to be so horrific. There was sexual, horrific things going on, and it was not a redeemable character. And I remember the teacher likened you to Peter Riegert, like crossing the land sea. She loved that quality in you. That you had to go somewhere so dark. And I remember one night you said to me while we were rehearsing, you said, I don't know if I can go there. And I said, oh, you can. I know you can, because I had gotten to know you, and it was like, you have all the human elements of what everybody has. It's just that it came to a point where you were going to now have to show it.
Right.
Go there. Go to your dark place. And boy, did you ever. It's a great scene.
That was a tough role, really. And,
Great scene. I'm not gonna let you say tough role. You did great. So the story ends. The story doesn't end anywhere. The story was a journey of you being afraid of going to what was already inside. We're all crazy.
The method acting, the various types, all want to start by finding yourself in the character. That's a good notion, but it's also what drives most people crazy. I say instead, look for all the differences. That gives you an anchor to pull out of if you go in too deeply, and allows you actually to dive deeper because you've got that safety net. Whether you subtract white from black or black from white, the picture becomes the same. So why risk yourself with too much identification with the character when you can highlight the differences? The nicest guys play the hardest villains. And the reason why Charles Durning was always such a lovable character actor to the audience was he survived a POW camp and has anger issues inside of him, so that he had to keep bottled up all the time. So we think we're endeared by the nice guy exterior, but we're really feeling the subtext of that big anger that's a contrast to the external.
Yeah, I think that's so true of the arts, though. I mean, I think the arts bring out, I'm not going to use the word therapy, but I think that the arts allow us to bring out all those places in us, whether it's in the writing, which I that's the other part of me. I'm a writer, and then I get to be interpretive. And I know Susan Royal was here tonight, and had been a professional flautist, and I had been a professional concert violinist when I was younger. And I didn't find that as satisfying, having a wooden box in front of me. That was given to me by my parents because they were steeped in classical music and all their kids had to play classical instruments. And so I did until I couldn't anymore. And for strange reasons, I was born with an extra muscle in my arm that I had practiced so much to concertizing that I strengthened the muscle in my arm. So if I had been a plumber and I had been doing this for years, the surgeon told me that muscle would have strengthened, and then I entrapped the nerve leading to this finger, and I was preparing to solo with an orchestra, the Saint-Saëns violin concerto, and literally overnight I could not bend my finger past there. And I was just like, Mom, I can't bend my finger. She was like, okay, are you freaking out about playing? And I was like, no, this is literally a medical thing. I can't bend my finger, and she schlepped me to all sorts of hand surgeons. And I don't know if anybody could see a scar through Zoom, but it starts here and it snakes its way all the way down my arm. They had to do exploratory surgery just to open up a flap to see what it was. And the doctor, I've been 40 years, a hand surgeon in Children's Hospital in LA, and he said, I've only found one my whole life. And he said, it's called the Gunstler muscle. And you had one, and you had the second one I've ever seen. I pickled it, put it in a jar, and I went off and lectured about it. And so he took it out. He said, you had made it so strong while you're practicing and studying all your life, since I was 6 years old. And so, of course, they told me I would rehabilitate after 3 years. It was 5-6 years. It was a long time. And so in that sense, it gave me a lot of time to think and do other things, in my life. In those times of getting better or recovery, opened up my eyes to other things.
Have you ever submitted any written pieces to this group?
No, I'm gonna actually. I just started writing. I have written plays, short plays years ago, just for fun. But I publish in university journals. I publish poems.
Okay.
I've been writing them since I was 8 years old, and I finally started sending them out, and I was stunned that they were being published.
Good for you. I equate a poem to a sentence, what a screenplay is to a play. So you may be actually, a better writer as a result of using that sense of visual imagery and breaking small phrases and so on into a screenwriting thing when you try to do your plays. Do the play and then think of it as a poem.
Yeah,
and how it translates. Yeah.
I think better that way anyway. My mind works better in that way rather than in prose. So
right. Because in the writing groups, they kept putting screenwriters of playwrights. And it was like, we all have the same problem. We don't do good dialogue and all those things. I kept begging poets to join the groups. And they all say, well, we don't write screenplays. And I'm saying, you do, you just don't know. You have, wonderful dialogue, lyrical, you're thinking in beats. But people, again, label themselves. But I would agree with you after several years of volunteering at the Coronet Theater, where we had play readings every Monday, and the audience would always ask, "Is it a comedy this week?" Most of the writers are trying to pay off their psychiatric bills by making a 3-hour play out of it. But the actors are the psychiatrists. We're the ones that we are doing the therapy for you. We are risking our sanity by being empaths and taking on your problems and showing you what it looks like. So
I'm interpreting that as I'm going to write a psychopath play and I'm going to cast somebody in it and watch what they do.
You are the therapist, Zeb. You are the therapist.
Summer is the worst time for me creatively, but maybe one of these days. But I forgot what I was going to say. Whatever, it probably wasn't important. What a thorough discussion on it.
Well, I think that's what you're saying. Go to the theater to absolve ourselves or integrate ourselves into that therapeutic sense that we are not alone. We are the man, and the actor speaks and is distilled from all of that. It's not just the crazy person. It's that.
I remember what I was going to say. The first play Stephen saw me in, what was over Zoom, because I'm in Seattle, Washington, or I was at that point, still in the state. I just moved to a different town, unfortunately. you guys, that was your first time meeting me, was playing such a heavy role, and then you got my entire fucking life story because I didn't know when to shut up, and like I feel like I should still apologize for that, but no one cares. I still have a great relationship with Emily. I still talk to Josh. I'm obviously working with you, so none of you hate me. You were probably just kind of surprised at what a nerve this play hit. So it can be done, and I was like, I don't know, I've written things for people. I think I submitted quite often to other places, and like, it's amazing how people will identify with things so much. I can have it read here, maybe. I don't know, I'm still deciding, but I read a play, a 10-minute one about a professional ballet dancer who is kicked out of her company for turning 40. This is a thing, don't yell at me. And everybody just kept saying, oh my God, that's so true. That's so real. Everything that that happened. And I was like, that's amazing. It resonated with people. And then someone else was laughing because her romantic partner is a cello player who got a rejection. And then the people who rejected her asked for money. Every single playwright in the audience just started laughing because all of them have been rejected, only to be followed up with, oh, can we have money for you? You submitted to us. And it's like, no. So that people related to that, and I was glad. But I was really worried that everyone would see it for, I was in a bad mood, and I was so convinced that all of you would know what actually had inspired that play. Nobody did. I'm not 38. I was never a ballet dancer. I don't play cello. It was like, I'm proud of it because those characters are totally fake. I've never gone through any of what they're going through at all, and yet I managed to create that. So I was very proud of myself. And then if you're wondering what else I turn out, like, somebody does theater, it's about theater, it takes place in a theater because apparently I've never moved on from what I did in childhood. I'm kidding. Or somebody's an alcoholic, drinking on every page, alcohol use disorder, or like, there's always something. I developed a weird style, and in my personal life, I do not have alcohol use disorder. I can't drink because of the medication I'm on. I don't know why I did that. But with theater, apparently I just have shit to process from when I was like 12. It was more of a desire to, I was a performer. And now I'm processing as an adult. It's complicated, and I guess I just wanted to work through it. And of course, when you tell someone that, they want to know all of your stories and you can't think of a single one, and then it all just comes out in the play. And I remember thinking, I hope nobody from my old theater finds this, because they may see themselves in it and they weren't supposed to. What happened was 18 years old, okay. In youth theater, when you're 18, they kick you out, you age out, they can't have you anymore. What happened though with me is it's a little more complicated. I was 18. I was both aging out and burning out, and I'm the one who says I was burning out. It was also a farewell tour for the company. They didn't tell us that. We just thought it was really weird. Their last season was already like, our summer stock was being performed, our winter stock was being performed. They were performing all these plays that we already had, and so it was a vicious fight for who got what role, and my God. And then as the season closed, the day after, they said, all right, the show's closed. We want everyone still to come back to the theater if you can. Jam-packed, they said, oh, by the way, we're shutting down. I hope that if some of you run youth theaters, that you don't do that, because frankly, if you do, you owe those kids a lot more respect than they're giving them. Let them know this is the final year so they can make other plans. God damn it. I never got over that. I'll write a play about it someday. Oh, wait, I already did. Sorry. I'll write a longer play about it and get my feelings out.
Our next meeting is September 24th.
Wonderful. I'll submit something at that time, maybe. I say that a lot and then I don't.
If it doesn't try your patience, I'll have another chapter of Sherlock.
All right. Good.
Great plays, folks, and great discussion. I have to shoot off now. See you next time.
Thank you for being patient with me, getting my whole life story.
No, it's great to learn about more people.
Time for us to stop being ourselves and go hide behind a character. That's what theater's all about. Get away with anything. I didn't kill the person. My character did.
Right.
I didn't steal all those top secret files. My character did.
Or did you? I don't know. I'll have to leave it at that.
Henry, do you want to
Thank
hang
you for
out
being
for a few
patient,
minutes?
everybody. Stay cool. Hopefully fall happens.
Okay.